Ebony Young, running for city council. Would love to have your vote on June 22nd.
You're running.
I'm running.
And you're running right now.
And isn't that a great thing? Two runnings?
You gotta incorporate
Come on. Everybody, he's actually recording me right now. He's like, that is amazing. So running for running. I'm very brave. Running for running, yes. Right, so nice to see you. Okay.
In the local election season of spring 2021, most of New York City's 51 city council seats were being vacated, and a lot of races had an unusually high number of candidates on the Democratic primary ballot. The district where I live, District 26, had the most candidates, 15, on the Democratic ballot. Like in most of the city, the district leaned so Democratic, the victor in the Democratic primary would most likely win the general election. With so many candidates of different backgrounds and points of view, the race seemed to offer a lens into the political current of our part of the city, and to be sort of a microcosm for the whole city. Close to the end of the race, I realized the scope of what was going on, and reached out to all the candidates and tried to document all the campaigns.
I think it actually speaks really highly of this district, that so many people are involved, that so many people want to represent it, that so many people feel passionate about it, because it is a very politically active district. So it makes sense to me that out of the 51 council districts, this is the biggest one.
According to the 2020 census, District 26, which is in Western Queens and includes the neighborhoods Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, and part of Astoria, represents about 184,000 people. Is slightly less than a third white, slightly less than a third Hispanic, slightly less than a third Asian, and 6% non-Hispanic Black. It's also economically diverse.
It's a very divided district economically. You get the towers, like you mentioned, in Long Island City, and technically Queensbridge housing is also part of Long Island City. So you get the divide there between the incredibly wealthy part of that neighborhood and the lower income part of that neighborhood. And the divide is incredibly stark. And then you get it in miniature kinds of amounts throughout the district.
Long Island City is the name of a 19th century city that today mainly refers to certain areas like Hunters Point and Court Square. But more than ever, it looks like a city in the sense of a cluster of high-income residential towers that recently went up.
You know, when I got there, I don't think we had a grocery store. So now there's a grocery store, but now it's sort of developed too quickly and too fast and become too expensive.
The district also includes the traditional Western Queens landscape with a range of incomes, including many residents who are considered rent-burdened, and a large percentage of immigrants. The district also has several public housing developments within the New York City Housing Authority, or NYCHA. The NYCHA complexes in the district are Queensbridge, which is the largest public housing in the country, Woodside houses, and the Ravenswood houses.
We can make sure how these votes is important. Ekta voter dami important.
We're gonna keep social distancing, one person at a time.
I caught up with Badrun Kahn first, a month ahead of Election Day. Kahn, a first-gen native New Yorker from the Lower East Side and longtime Sunnysider, was a former congressional candidate and former head of a Bangladeshi immigrant organization and a community board member. Her campaign invited me to a food drive at Ravenswood houses.
The reason why we're doing this because we have a lot of people who don't have food in their houses. So when we bring these foods over, you know, it's like an accomplishment. People have food, it's for children.
Do you do stuff like this normally, like before and after when not running?
Oh, I did this before, yeah. I always did that. During COVID time, I went to the Bronx Skid, and I do a lot of this events. We do it in the mosque, we give out food. It's not only because I'm running, I did it a lot of times.
At that event, I met Glennis Gomez, a former government staffer for a member of Congress and a chief of staff for a state legislator.
Years ago, I came here to Queens with nothing, with a broken soul, nothing. And I came into the shelter system. I've lived the shelter system. I know what it is to be without a home. I lived in public housing myself, so I know what it is to deal with the mold, to deal with the vermin, to deal with the chip paint. I know what it is to cook and at the same time have a leak. I know what it is to pay over $1,200 a month for childcare. I know what it is to be on the verge of being evicted, because when I was fighting and advocating for my own self to get the repairs needed in NYCHA, I received retaliation from my landlord to the point that they wanted to evict me. Also, why? Because I organized in NYCHA other residents so that they can get the proper repairs. So in this race, I'm a unique candidate because of my lived experiences, and that is what we're missing in City Hall.
A week later, Julia Forman invited me to an endorsement rally. Forman was a former assistant district attorney who said she wanted to run on the proactive side of criminal justice.
Education has been a really big part of this campaign. Probably coming from an educator household does contribute to that. Before I announced my pregnancy, one thing that I did was sit down with parents from across this district and talk about, the issues that were important to them.
Next, I went to Hailie Kim's campaign office. Kim was a CUNY adjunct professor who had emigrated from South Korea as a kid and grew up in Sunnyside. She was involved in local volunteering like mutual aid during the pandemic. She ran a far-left platform centered on education and jobs.
Yeah, but what do you want to see? Do you care most about jobs, about the rent? About homeless.
You see how ridiculous it is though, right? Like, straight up, I'm an Amazon employee, and I actually built Amazonians United, and people out here being like,
because you don't say nothing. You don't say that. You don't say it and you don't put it out there.
I do.
On June 1st, 3 weeks to the election, I followed Jonathan Bailey around Queensbridge and Queensbridge Park. Bailey had been part of the 2018 Ocasio-Cortez campaign team. He was a former co-chair of the Queens branch of the Democratic Socialists of America. He had a nonprofit and educator background, but was working in an Amazon warehouse in Woodside. He co-founded a workers' advocacy group, Amazonians United.
So when Amazon was stealing our sick leave and denying us paid time off, I helped us come together so that we could fight. And we've been able to win our rights back, and we've been able to win tens of millions of dollars of value for not just for workers here in New York City, but across the US. Yeah, and with the Amazon warehouse opening up right next to Queensbridge, that kind of thing is important.
I am a Democratic Socialist, and while I don't explicitly state that on my website, it's very clear to people who read my platform, very clear to people who kind of interact with me, that that's where I stand.
I'm running for city council.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Your little young Afro ass?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You run for city council?
Yeah.
Of this Jonathan?
Yeah.
Hey. Well, all right. I'm going to put it in my
Okay, that's so awesome. That seriously would help so much. People will see it and be like, oh snap.
Yeah.
Oh, we fighting. We fighting. They're gonna see this black dude is like, hey, what's up? Let's change shit, and they're gonna be like, okay. Oh, what? Any buttons? I'm not sure if we have any more. Well, we'll print. You want? Okay.
The only thing I get him to wear, he won't wear the mask or the shirt.
Okay. This is.
You.
You got my button.
I got you, Jonathan.
All right.
I got you, okay?
All right.
You know I'm your type, right?
The next day, I randomly ran into Julie Won, who had also emigrated from South Korea as a kid and grew up in the area. One was a tech professional who was on the community board and other neighborhood boards. When I saw her, she was giving out food on the corner.
I have been doing this since the pandemic because I'm a kid who grew up on public school free lunch. So I knew right away that when the schools shut down, even if you're able to pick it up, a lot of parents are working 2 to 3 jobs, especially in low-income households, people of color, and first-generation immigrants.
So when you started doing this, were you running? Did you have a campaign?
No, I didn't.
A day later, I went to Brent O'Leary's campaign office.
My grandparents immigrated here to Sunnyside, just a few blocks away, settled on 40th Street. They both came from Ireland, but they met here in New York at the Claire Dance. In the they stopped in Hell's Kitchen briefly, and then moved here in the 30s.
Brent O'Leary lived in City Lights, an affordable housing development and the first tower to go up on the Long Island City waterfront. For some stretch, he lived in Japan, where he served on the U.S. Democratic National Committee representing all Democrats living abroad in Asia. He ran for city council here in 2009, coming in third in the primary. After he lost, he founded the Hunters Point Civic Association.
You know, when I ran 10 years ago, I was the only one who called myself a progressive at that time. Because actually back then it was a bad word. Like now it's kind of the cool thing to call yourself a progressive.
By the time I started filming, it seemed clear Amit Bagga was a frontrunner, or the frontrunner.
In this incredibly crowded 15-way race, essentially the most crowded race in the entire city, I'm proud to be the candidate whose vision and experience have really spoken volumes to the progressive movement across the city. So I've personally helped to write and implement more than 50 pieces of legislation to protect immigrants and workers during my time as a deputy commissioner with the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection in New York City.
He'd been a chief of staff and policy director for former Congressman Anthony Weiner. He wasn't known for local activism in the district. Instead, he touted his citywide experience. Bagga co-led a 2020 census campaign that helped keep New Yorkers fully counted when the Trump administration was seen as trying to diminish the count of undocumented people.
And this was the country's first ever publicly funded community organizing program. And it was a banner success, despite the fact that COVID-19 hit literally the day that the census started. We ended up saving an entire congressional seat for the state when we were supposed to lose 2, and also billions for education, for healthcare, for housing, for transportation, and more as a result of having the count that we did.
By the time I was filming in the spring, Bagga had racked up an unmatched slew of endorsements by progressive figures, major unions, and advocacy groups.
One, two, three. Here, I think we can do it. Maskless. All right. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not wearing.
Go for it.
I'm wearing makeup because of that.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi. How are you? All right. It's time for music.
On June 5th, I went to the Sunnyside Green Market, where I was told a lot of candidates would be campaigning. Zephyr Teachout was there to canvass for Amit Bagga. Teachout had run for governor, Congress, and state attorney general. She's a professor, author, and commentator. I asked her for her take on the race.
This election year is so different because it's after AOC, it's after this extraordinary explosion of progressive activists running for office, and it's the first RCV election, so you have so many people running.
RCV stands for Ranked Choice Voting. In the 2019 local election, New Yorkers voted yes on a ballot referendum calling to amend the city charter to, quote, give voters the choice of ranking up to 5 candidates in primary and special elections.
Ranked choice voting allows you to rank up to 5 candidates.
You keep adjusting until somebody gets at least 50%.
If no candidate gets more than 50%, ballots will be counted in rounds. Round by round, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. So, if your top-rated candidate is eliminated, your vote goes to your next highest choice.
This council race has the most candidates, I think, of any in the city.
Why do you think that is here?
Well, I think that it's pretty obvious that AOC's impact and the impact of that campaign was really personally felt by people here. They saw the difference of, what somebody could do running for office and winning.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district overlaps with the eastern part of our city council district, covering the neighborhoods Sunnyside and Woodside. There were also other theories as to why so many people ran for city council in general.
I think a couple things contribute. I mean, number one is term limits. So when there's not an incumbent, a lot more people come out for a race. Also, there's campaign finance now, so more people can get funds to run.
The city's public campaign financing funding program started in 1989, but after a 2018 ballot referendum, it expanded from 6-to-1 in matching funds to 8-to-1. So $100 gets you $800.
Oh, I just want to say, if you had been following the race closely.
I hadn't been following the race closely. The Queens chapter of the Working Families Party endorsed Julie Won on a conference call. But the Working Families Party went over the Queens chapter and endorsed Amit Bagga.
They chose to overturn the people's votes and endorse someone else instead who had the backing of de Blasio and his administration, as well as people who have worked with him who now work for WFP.
Later that day, some neighborhood civic groups held a cookout and meet and greet. That's where I finally started catching up with the rest of the candidates.
I'm not doing what I have to do. I'm doing what it's in my blood, it's in my veins. This is what I do.
This is so funny. You're like a pageant.
That's the reason I ran, just to get the I'll be honest.
Yeah, so Shannon, as you can see, because of ranked choice voting, and as long as our politics are pretty aligned, people are very friendly with each other. We have pretty strong alliances, with other progressive
same
candidates.
Party, we have a lot of the same values, so we're glad that we have a lot of good candidates running, so that whoever wins will have good representation.
And Brent is practically Asian, so
I lived in Asia for 10 years. I speak Japanese.
Yeah.
You're the sole Republican running against 15
Democrats, correct.
So tell me about that.
Well, I mean, it's a daunting task to run as a Republican and a conservative in New York City, but I think it can be done because I've been saying the same thing for 14 years now, and things have gotten progressively worse. We have the right message, we have the right solutions, and I think people are tired of the Democrat machine. For instance, they talk about systemic racism. Democrats have been in charge of the system for well over 100 years. I mean, even going back to Tammany Hall. They have to follow the party line and they have to do what the machine tells them to do. And the machine tells them to do things like put up all these hotels and worthless high-rises that don't benefit the people in the neighborhood. And they price people out of the neighborhood, and they basically kill the feel of a small-town community.
So you're not pro-development?
I'm pro-development for people, smart development. But pro-development for the sake of enriching developers, no, I'm not for that at all.
So what makes you conservative?
What makes me conservative is I believe in the Bible and I believe in the Constitution.
I feel like your story is you jumped in it all started because the Sunnyside yards are a block away from your house.
Yes, that would be accurate. Yes, that is true. I'm running for necessity, as I say.
I met Emily Sharpe a couple years prior when doing some reporting on the Sunnyside Yards. The Sunnyside Yards are a large train area between Long Island City and Sunnyside. Around the time I moved to the district in 2015, the de Blasio administration said it wanted to build a whole new neighborhood of housing on a deck on top of the Sunnyside Yards.
And I've just seen for the last 15 years, all the development has just gone crazy. And I see what happens is that people get displaced. I have my son who's 16, he's had 2 friends that have had to move so far. And there's plenty of other people and small businesses too. I knew that we were more powerful together. Same thing is happening all over the city. Soho now is going to be rezoned. Inwood, Gowanus, all these places are being rezoned. And people are having the same fights. They don't want to be displaced. So I realized that we need to work together to get things done.
Yo, we fought for that and we changed it. Yeah. This is why it's important to vote in elections.
So you can still get the card.
Do you want to legalize mushrooms?
Absolutely.
Do you do mushrooms?
No, I don't do mushrooms. I think the most one I do would be marijuana. I don't think I do anything else.
Have you done mushrooms?
No, I have not. But I think it's good for people.
What made you think about putting this on your platform?
BSE, people, it will help people. I think legalizing will help people. Like marijuana helped many people.
But how did it come? Like, do you have like friends who do mushrooms?
A lot of my friends who had certain issues, and when I was telling them, guys, I'm gonna put this, they were so excited. They're like, oh no, some people do it. I don't personally do it, but the
Would
most.
You do it?
If I need to, yeah.
Well,
if it's depending, but no, not. I want it to be it has to be medically permissible, not.
You wouldn't do mushrooms for recreational reasons?
Not yet. I have to do more research on that. As I said in my thing, it has to be more research on it.
Why not just have fun and try?
Look at Emily's. Look, the other one.
Oh yeah, there's Emily Sharpe.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the second one you saw. We saw another one today. Now I want one.
Why billboards?
Why not? There's 15 people running. It's hard to be noticed, and I thought it was a good idea. And nobody's done it before, and that's why I did it.
No one's done it in a city council race before?
Probably out in the suburbs, but in New York City, I've never seen it. And the people I rented from, they said they hadn't seen it before, so, but yeah.
Oh, that's all your AOC stuff?
So anyway, I have to put, anyway.
Wait, hold on. All this stuff. Back of your car is full of AOC posters.
Oh,
from 2018?
Don't do that. I know. It's okay.
It's funny. Wait, so like it's just still in your car from 2 years ago?
Yeah, for a long time.
Sultan Maruf was a Democratic socialist who'd been a volunteer on the 2018 Ocasio-Cortez campaign. He'd advocated for Rohingya Muslims at the UN and said an ordeal with his landlord inspired him to run.
Asian community lives in district is like 27.1%. And Bangladeshi community is like almost 20% in this council district. So we should have a voice. And every time we try to achieve success or in any position, people try to push us down. It's not fair. So I'm trying to be super perfect candidate with giving out salary, 50% of my council salary, which is going to be like $74,000. I'm going to donate it to local charity, churches, mosques, and any local charity organization.
Ebony Young ran the Long Island City YMCA.
I ran this Y for 8.5 years.
Okay.
But I've ran in total in my life, I've ran Ys for 20 years. I understand people, but I also understand business. Right. Some people just understand people and then just understand business, but I understand both of them.
I would love to have your vote on June 22nd. I'm running for city council. I ran the YMCAs for over 20 years and would love to. That's me. Yeah.
What gives you an edge on 15
What keeps
other
me
people?
happy and excited?
Hope for a win. I want to win. I'm a winner.
3 H's probably this way.
Where do you get that from?
I think it's my parents. They have this like in them. Like a positive mental attitude. Even in times of stress, just be positive. You always win.
We need to take our neighborhood in a new direction. Things have just really spiraled down. We have no responses from our public officials, our elected officials, and I really feel at this point that the time is now.
Denise Keehan-Smith was the former chair of Queens Community Board 2.
I'm a longtime person living in Woodside. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not one of these people that just moved in, want to run the race. If they lose, they'll probably leave. I'm here for the duration. I've lived in my current apartment building in Big Six for just about 20 years now. My husband, Casey, is a teacher at the Middle College High School across the street from LaGuardia. and he runs a special ed department. So, you know, we have deep roots here, and I'll be here.
She was chair during the fight over Amazon HQ 2. In late 2018, the city and state government brokered a controversial deal to allow Amazon to build a headquarters in Long Island City. In early 2019, Amazon backed out, saying local officials, quote, oppose our presence and will not work with us. Keehan-Smith was an outlier in her more pro-Amazon position, whereas almost all the other candidates were against the Amazon deal.
You know, I think it's important for people to know. I know there's, you know, a strong anti-Amazon sentiment among some in the community, but a great deal more were in favor of at least the possibility.
That was, I think, the catalyst for the conversation among neighbors. People really felt like that ripple effect, all the rents were going to go up, property taxes were going to go up. So our seniors who live here in a house that they've lived in for decades on a fixed income, if their property taxes go up too high, they're going to be pushed out. And it's something where I think we really do need to fight, yes, to bring jobs. I know when people talk about Amazon, the jobs come up. We do need to bring jobs here, especially as we recover from the pandemic. But we need to do it in a way where we're the ones benefiting and that it's not something benefiting, you know, the wealthiest corporation in the world.
When we find people who are supporters of having Amazon and they'll criticize us and say, you know, you chased away a lot of good jobs. So, you know.
So then what do you say?
Well, we try to explain our position, you know, that it wasn't jobs for our neighborhood, it was a relocation of executives. And they were taking away our public land and had $3 billion in tax benefits that they weren't going to have to pay. So we said, you know, we have a plan for that area, which will bring jobs for the people in the neighborhood. And also we can use the public land for schools and an arts center and a teen center. So if they allow us to give our response, that's what we say. But sometimes they are set in their ways that that we were bad people for chasing them away.
I was pro Amazon being done correctly.
Does that mean
It was not done correctly. So I was not pro how it was done.
because the community wasn't involved?
Nope, I totally agree. No, they were not. And so because the community wasn't involved the way that they were, the deal was crappy. That's what it is. It was wrong.
But we lost out, you think?
I think we lost out on some long-term goals. And those long-term goals being, what could we have invented and been the leaders of in the United States when working with some of our most vulnerable people over in public housing and preparing them for what is already here, which is tech and entrepreneurship, right? And while I have a friend named Ted who lays cement, I think it's amazing that he lays cement. It is my job as a leader to teach him, to help give him access and opportunity to build a robot that lays cement, because we know that's where we're going.
And just to be clear,
Yeah.
you mean cement?
Yeah. See, you say cement, I say cement. That's a Midwest thing, right?
Where did you grow up?
Cement, Indiana and Ohio. I grew up in Indiana and Ohio, and let's try this one.
Do you talk about this stuff when you campaign?
Yeah, I do.
And could people ask?
People ask.
Does it differ from different parts of the district? Opinions about stuff like that?
I think it does. Yeah, I think opinions differ from all sides or segments of, you know, our community, right? But I'm going to answer in light of me having the ability to lead this community. And you're telling me the largest city in the world cannot get to a negotiation table with an Amazon and demand things? It can. We can.
That big power plant right over there, that is actually the largest fossil fuel power plant left in New York City, the one over on the waterfront on Vernon. It is 60-something years old, and there's already plans and discussions about shutting it down. I want to be the council member that makes sure we shut down the burning of fossil fuels at that power plant within my term, and so that we don't have that pollution in our neighborhood as well.
I spotted Jesse Laymon on the street. He was a district leader with a political campaign background.
And you're not with the DSA?
I'm not a member of DSA. I'm a progressive Democrat. I think that probably if I were 10 or 15 years younger with my political leanings, I would have become a DSA member, because the young people on the left who are in their teens and 20s now are very much gravitating towards DSA. Generationally, people of my generation called ourselves progressives.
Stephen Raga had been on Queens Community Board too and other boards, was chief of staff for a state legislator. I met up with him at an event in Woodside where he was joined by Reshma Patel, who was running for comptroller.
You have a second or what? You're busy? Never mind. If you're busy, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to introduce you to Reshma because she was across the street. She's running for comptroller here.
But the real question is, who has the better mangoes, India or Philippines?
Oh, I'm sorry. Why are you starting a war? Good thing there's no Mexican mango advocates here. Oh, look at my second edition of the posters. It's all Filipino.
Oh, should we put mine up here?
Yeah. Yeah. This is nice.
That's really nice. That's
all for progress. Oh, she had a sentence.
Wait, I need to take a picture of this.
I like it because, yesterday I met with the Korean community and they're like, wow, this is ugly.
What?
No, that screams like.
And you know what they said? They're like, you're no Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. I was interviewed on Bangladeshi TV. I'm blanking on the network name, but it's a local station that's in Bengali. So that was really good. I think I was really honored to be able to do that outreach to a community that sometimes I have obvious difficulty connecting with.
Assalamualaikum, Bhaiya, I'm running for city council election. Aapne please ekটু ভোটটা দিয়েন ভাইয়া, আপনারা ভোটে তো যান না? District 26.
I like that my website is actually in Romanian, Turkish, Chinese, Tagalog, Bengali, and Spanish, because we're one of the most diverse neighborhoods. And I feel responsibility. I'm from an immigrant family, and I want to make sure that people have the chance to get ahead, and we reach out to everybody.
Hailie, are you bilingual or different languages?
I can speak Korean.
Korean. Does it help a lot around here?
There are some Korean voters, and I also speak a little bit of Russian, which is not quite as helpful.
Can you take those? If you win, when we win? After election. Yeah. Can I see you? I live here. You're going to see me. I'm only 1 block away. I'll come by. We'll try. I push people. Tell them by June 22. By June 22. Yeah. We need your push them.
I had dreams of becoming the first Afro-Latina congresswoman here in the United States, but I guess this is where we began.
We haven't had an Afro-Latina congresswoman?
We have Nidia Velasquez. She is one of the Latina congresswomen, but she's Puerto Rican. So I would have loved to be the first Dominican Afro-Latina woman to join Congress. Also knowing that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is also a Latina in Congress, so I would have loved to join that.
Are you kind of a fixture, like people are like, yeah, Steve Raga?
Yeah, I've been doing community work here for over 16 years. At 69th and Roosevelt, I was associate director of Philippine Forum, which is the Filipino community center that lost its funding a few years ago. I'm the founder of Filipino American Unity for Progress, which is a civic organization that founded in my living room on Woodside Avenue, 66th Street, and now it's national. So now it's in a few cities in Chicago, Seattle, Houston.
And you're involved in Queen's Pride, which is like right over here.
Yeah. Also, I've been on the board of Queen's Pride for the last if we count COVID, 3 years now.
And so there's never been a Filipinx.
No, not in the history, not just in the city, but the state.
Have there been Bangladeshi elected officials in New York City?
No. If I'm elected, I'll be the first Muslim woman in city council.
Muslim woman?
Muslim, yeah. Woman in city
Really?
council. Yeah. There's no Muslim woman in city council.
Is that part of what your campaign means, or is that
No,
sort of
you know
side?
what? I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to say that I'm a certain, I believe in I'm representing everybody.
Yeah.
But with the rank voting is a little bit different. You know, the rank voting people are going after the people who you have base votes. Like, for example, if you go to Jackson Heights, there's parts. There's the Bangladeshi, there's the Indian community, there's the Pakistani community, there's the Jewish community. So everybody's targeting everybody's community. There's the three.
So are you targeting your base?
Yeah, everybody is. The Muslim community is my base. I don't say South Asian and Muslim community is my biggest base. And I think everybody, like I know a lot of the candidates are targeting every community too. But beside that, I'm in Queensbridge, Ravenswood. That's a big Black community, Latino community. So I'm targeting those too. It's not that I'm only doing my base, I'm going to everyone. And my base, I'm hoping, inshallah, everybody comes out to vote. And rank 1 would be easier.
I was thinking of what you said earlier about you know, wanting to be the first Dominican woman
Congresswoman, yeah.
Congress. You worked for Adriana Espaillat.
Yeah.
So is that part of the inspiration for that?
Actually, yes, because he's the only Dominican in Congress right now. And the first.
Is, I think, more diverse than that.
Yeah.
So maybe that makes it a little bit harder.
Well, it hasn't been a challenge for me. I understand in Washington Heights, majority is Hispanic and majority is Dominican. So, you know, being Dominican, being Hispanic, speaking the same language in Spanish, it makes the little things, I would say, easier. But the issues are the same. And here in District 26, I don't see it much of a challenge because, as I said before, my story can relate to the many experiences that families are going through right now, many of the struggles.
This you could definitely put your poster up here.
Yeah.
This is
an empty space.
This is common ground. This is international waters.
Oh,
here.
Everybody is here.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice spot.
Cynthia Nixon came through?
Yeah, a few. We got a few of those.
I think he's got all the progressives, I guess.
That's all.
Not all of them, but I'm saying he's got like.
He has a good number. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that, like the whole endorsement race and like who was more progressive and all that stuff?
In my head, whoever is most progressive is just your track record.
Just their track record?
No, I'd say anyone can say they're X, but they have to have a proven track record of whatever X is. So, yeah, sure. I'd love it if folks that's literally and legitimately their mindset, and that's great. But in terms of most anything, we'd have to check the receipts. That's all. Yeah.
But there's other criteria, right? Like you're very focused on civil rights, human rights.
Yeah. But that's why I don't even try to discuss with the whole progressivism, because it's probably one of the most conflated terms in New York City politics right now.
When COVID-19 hit our city, many of our lives moved entirely online.
Julie 1 had made her signature issue Wi-Fi for All.
It's time to close the digital divide.
And if we're going to service our children by putting education online, you have to make sure it's accessible. And the fact that 3,000 students didn't get to access their education this past year, it's a shame. And it's also COVID-19 access, right? So even for healthcare now. People's healthcare is connected to the internet because you have to make your appointments online, as well as getting information online. So because it's become the undercurrent of our economy, for our digital economy, where small businesses had to migrate online to do e-commerce as well as deliveries, and for our children's education, and for our government services, it's been really important for me to make sure that everyone has equal opportunity into the digital world.
I am a strong supporter of the abolition of police and prisons. That is a long-term project. That is not a 1 year, we're just gonna zero out their budget kind of thing. But I do think that we need to be thinking long-term as a society about how we build a safer community that isn't reliant on punishment as our only path to safety.
I'm for safe streets. So I want to put the funds back into the police department where they belong. And I don't want the police department to be maligned because of a small fraction of people that may have acted wrongly and violated the law. By and large, we have a minority police department, and by and large, we have the best police department in the world. And when you compare them to other large municipalities, they're underpaid.
I just love his afro. This is the real thing, okay? Bye, baby. Ciao.
Are you in this? Are you here in this neighborhood?
Yes, I'm in Baby Twin housing.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I got you.
Okay. Awesome.
I got you.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Continue talking to the people. They need to hear from people.
Huh?
You gotta continue talking to the people. They need to hear from the people.
Yeah. Well, okay, so what do you care most about? Like, what do you think is the most important thing that needs to happen?
Oh, besides gun control?
Okay.
Oh, besides that, I mean, I've been living here 6 years, so I would say, in my opinion, gun control and, being more aware of where the youth is going right now. Because, as you know, since it's COVID, there's nowhere for these kids to go.
Yeah.
So there's more crime. So now you got more crime because there's less things open, right? And then you got more old people getting robbed, assaulted, more young women like me, single moms getting raped, assaulted. That happens all the time here.
And I'm also on the board of 2 local nonprofits, which is 696 Build Queensbridge, also known as CCD, an anti-gun violence organization, and Queens Together, a small business alliance.
Right. What's called 696?
It's called 696 because it's talking about the 6 blocks and the buildings that are in Queensbridge houses.
Right, and that's it's a cure violence type thing.
Yes, it's a cure violence organization or an anti-violence organization that does crisis management to prevent violence before it happens, as well as interrupt violence while it's happening.
We need more cops. They usually be on the block at this time.
Well,
They usually come on this block because somebody got killed in that building over there.
Yeah.
What's that? That's 10, 11, 12. Somebody got killed in 12 on Labor Day. The day after Labor Day.
Yeah.
And usually the cops, we don't know who the boy was because he was out here visiting his girlfriend. Anyway, the cops used to be out here every day around this time, but I don't see them.
Yeah.
So where they at?
Well, the thing is, like, since cops a lot of times, like, I mean, look, any black man in America can tell you, like, has had the experience of being pulled over. There's a squad car and 2 cops, and pretty soon, 5 minutes later, another cop car pulls up. Now there's 2 squad cars, 4 cops.
But
5 minutes later,
it's usually a cop on this block sitting here since I haven't seen him in a few days. We need more cops.
What do you think about like programs like Cure Violence?
They have something up there, the 696, the youth go, but then there's the older people who don't participate and don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what can we do about gun violence? Thing is, when I was growing up, they shot too, but like they would fight with their hands. Now they fight with the guns, and it's just sad, and we got innocent people being shot. So what can we do about that?
Yeah. Well, so like programs like Cure Violence have been really successful in reducing like gun violence in communities. Like, but like statistically, right? Like have been able to like reduce like violence. Like in there's like a neighborhood in Brooklyn that they were able to reduce violence by like 70%. Like, I don't know, have you heard of Cure Violence or any like other types of programs?
Yes, I have.
So what do you think about like that like approach to community safety?
I believe the approach is cool. NYPD has probably been doing more community meetings with the people, but a lot of people don't tune in. So they won't go to the community center and they won't sign into Zoom because they don't really want to know about what's going on.
What do you think about, why do you think that, like, what's the cause for that, you think?
I mean, the cause, aside from low-income families, the cause is, a lot of people don't have access to Wi-Fi here.
That power plant right behind us. Yeah, we're gonna close that power plant. Here, you want to? 2 minutes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, should we stand right here? Yeah.
Great. We're gonna close that power plant.
Yeah, we're
gonna close it.
There's a press conference today that we've been invited to by AOC, where she is going to be announcing her city council endorsements throughout the city.
So AOC, right? So basically, AOC is endorsing you. It looks like.
I mean, we don't know for sure, but we're keeping our fingers crossed because it's just like, congratulations, you've gotten a perfect score on our Courage to Change PAC by AOC. So we've been invited to the press conference today at City Hall, and we're gonna go there and find out. And hopefully, we're gonna get endorsed.
On the day of the June 5th cookout, AOC's Courage to Change PAC endorsed 7 candidates from our district.
So we found out yesterday that we received the support of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's PAC, Courage to Change. And today was the official endorsement, which came back from a press conference. And I got to see her for the first time. She was standing 2 people away from me. It was kind of a moment. Yeah. I have a poster of her up on my wall, so it's sort of bizarre to see her in human form and not in paper flat form.
Six. Photo.
3, 2, 1.
You were looking before at like the social media response or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there like, what's going on?
Well, I think people are kind of just poking fun at the fact that 7 people got endorsed. It's funny. You know, it's more like who didn't get endorsed.
The 7 candidates endorsed by the PAC were Amit Bagga, Jesse Laymon, Julia Forman, Julie Won, Brent O'Leary, Hailie Kim, and Jonathan Bailey.
Look, so AOC endorsed 7 people.
Yeah.
But she knows you, right? So why didn't she how did you feel about that? I mean, you actually worked with her?
Shit, man, you're getting personal. Yeah, I'm upset. Like, yo, like legit, I am upset.
Did you sign on to that Courage to Change?
I did, but I didn't fill out all the scoring thing. I don't think that I shouldn't be doing that. She knows me enough to be, it's kind of insulting to me to be asked about scoring thing, like all the stuff. Because I helped her without even asking question. She used my voice. If you go to the YouTube channel,
আমি ওকাসিওকে সাপোর্ট করতেছি কারণ সে আমাদেরই মতন একজন
and she selected 7 candidates against me. It's truly heartbreaking. That's not courageous, I have to say. 7 candidates, they couldn't pick only one person. Let's assume Jonathan. They could have picked Jonathan, okay?
People recognize that, I have the courage to fight for what I think is the right thing. And again, we come back to this PAC where, if a politician wants something done in particular that goes against what the local community residents want, I will always side with my community and the people that have to live this day in and day out, because they're the most impacted by it, not some politician who lives in DC or wherever.
In 2020, Badrun Kahn challenged Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez in a congressional primary.
Did people ever recognize you from the AOC thing?
Yes, they did. Woodside especially. They said we know you from before. Most people know my name because I have a unique name. My first name is very unique and the last name is Khan. A lot of people did. Last time when I was actually distributing food out on 61st and Roosevelt. Some people came up to me and said, "Oh, we voted for you last time and we're going to vote for you again because we saw you ran in the congressional election."
And so that's what they say?
Mm-hmm. And some people know I was based on policies. All my runs are based on policies, not if you dislike someone or if I don't like someone. I don't believe in that.
Why did they prefer you over her?
Some of her policies people don't like in the neighborhood. That we all knew that. Even some people from different backgrounds, they just wanted someone diverse, a little bit different. That's it. Yeah. I mean, she's doing great for the community. She's saying But also there's some policies that I don't agree with her, but I think a lot of people don't agree with certain of her policies.
Like which?
Green New Deal. I agree with it, but she needs to put the nuclear energy in there.
Is that the only reason?
That's one. That's a couple of people. Some people don't want the federal job guarantees. I think that's too big. A lot of people told me all these issues. And certain people think that I don't like categorizing. People think she's too much to the left. She should come to a little bit to the center and certain things like that.
Do you usually vote in city council elections?
Not really, no. Right. To be honest, no.
And I'm guessing it's because you don't know what city council does, how it helps you. Alright. So, one, city council affects the kinds of buildings you see because we have control over land use. Two, I'm a teacher, and one of the... Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a teacher at Hunter College, and one of the reasons I started running to begin with for city council is because it would put me in a position where I can actually do something about education. Right? I noticed that a lot of the kids that came into my classroom weren't prepared for my class. And on top of all of that, you see all these politicians who are sending their kids to fancy schools, and then ignoring the public schools. And they say, education can take another cut. It can take another cut year after year after year. I want to stop that.
So, like, what are your thoughts on why the UFT endorsed Julia Forman?
I mean, that is known only to them, really. I mean, not really on me to kind of speculate afterwards, you know?
So, like, we bumped into Brent, I forget who else, but yeah, everything's cool.
Yeah.
But one candidate of the 15, you're like, that guy...
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the WFP stuff. I think there are multiple people in the community who've spoken out, for example, in the mutual aids, or people who've worked with this person directly who have spoken out publicly. And it's not just about their personal ties to the establishment in the New York City mayor's office and what that means for him or her, but it's just, I think it's more about personal character and morals and values. Like, are you going to be a person of integrity, or are you just in it to win?
It's the first day of early voting. Thrilled to be out here, be able to chat with folks, and it's the start of something very exciting.
So we're at least 100 feet from the...
Yeah, we think that pole where the first people where Badrun Kahn is, we think that's about 100 feet.
Badrun's at the 100-foot mark.
We're outside it. So from that red door, we're all back 100 feet.
Oh, it's the red door.
Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of people going to vote?
No, almost nobody today. I mean, it's like 2 people an hour.
I'm just playing random things. Go away.
Okay, Google. Okay, bye. Wait, what was that?
Oh yeah, someone said to me that you had to be talked into running.
You're probably talking to Filipino people because they've been trying to get me to run for a bit. But I mean, you know, at this point you can't say no because what really spurred it on, the last straw really was the attack on Noel Quintana. The Filipino got slashed in the face, part of the rising attacks against Asian Americans, not just in the city, but across the country. So then a lot of the same people kind of pushing me for a while said it's really now or never, and it's the least I could do.
What are those?
They were giveaways for Mother's Day, but it was a bad day for Mother's Day. It was raining, so we didn't give them all away, so we still are now. But they're lavender. It's gonna be lavender. There's a little dirt.
Candles.
No, they're not candles. It's a dirt pellet in there, and you put seeds in there and water it, and it's gonna be a lavender plant.
Oh,
and it was
plant.
it was for Mother's Day, and you know.
And honestly, my first thought was yogurt.
Somebody else said that too. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh man, our truck just left.
left. It went to Momi, but you'll see it next time.
Oh, the big truck with your name just went to where I just came from. Closer to primary election day, I began to notice campaign funds being put to use in advertising. The top candidates in raised funds were Julie One with just over $86,000, followed by Amit Bagga with just over $73,000, Ebony Young with $67,000, and Brent O'Leary with $65,000. Here's one thing that seems to me obvious that you have in common with AOC.
Okay.
You seem to me like the one person in this campaign with like the most, how do you call it, blank social media game.
Oh. Thank you. I mean, that's great.
You fill in the blank.
You're trying to engage with voters during the pandemic where you couldn't be campaigning face-to-face most of the time. We knew right from the get-go, especially leveraging my competitive advantage of being a digital strategy consultant, that we were going to make sure that we invested in Google ads, that we invested in our social media presence, especially on a medium like Instagram. Because I can't tell you how many times I meet people at doors where I knock on the door and people open and they're like, oh my gosh, we're already friends on Instagram.
Really?
And they use the word friend.
My option one for city council. I'm going out.
Really
Frank voting, wonderful thing. All right, wow.
Yeah, you missed out on the gauntlet.
Yeah, I know.
Which was smart, but you got me. Anyway, it's really nice to meet you. I do hope to earn your support.
Only one candidate, Lorenzo Brea, refused to participate in my documentary. Brea lived at the Ravenswood houses. He was a former aide to a city council member. He was in his early 20s, making him the youngest candidate in the race.
Being from one of the 3 NYCHA developments in the district, I have felt the results of people thinking that top-down solutions exist. That is why my campaign focuses on meeting people where they are.
Brea positioned himself as the candidate of the NYCHA community and seemed to only campaign there. He ignored all my messages. When I randomly spotted him canvassing outside the Ravenswood houses, he told me he didn't want to participate and seemed pretty skeptical about how I might spin his campaign narrative. So I just filmed him for a few minutes. On June 13th, Maya Wiley endorsed Bagga. Wiley was one of the frontrunners in the mayoral race.
In this incredibly crowded 15-way race, essentially the most crowded race in the entire city, I'm proud to be the candidate whose vision and experience have really spoken volumes to the progressive movement across the city. To have the endorsement today, to be receiving the endorsement today of the leading progressive candidate for mayor, around whom the entire city has coalesced, is a deep honor. And it's an honor because this adds to the long list of the Working Families Party, of Make the Road Action, of Community Voices Heard Power, of 1199, of New York Communities for Change, of a total of more than 43, if I'm not mistaken, major unions, progressive organizations, and elected officials and leaders from across the state who are putting their stamp of approval on this campaign and saying that in order for New York City to truly recover from this pandemic, slogans are not going to be enough. What we really need is a combination of vision and real experience, having delivered real results for working New Yorkers.
Okay. Is anything actually plugged into this?
No, this is going to be for press.
Press, but okay. So I can just feel free to not use it, right?
Yeah.
As someone who's running my own historic race, Amit and I will both be historic leaders, changing not just the complexion, but everything about what it means to diversify city government. And that includes being an immigrant of color, that includes being who he is and demanding to love who he loves and be himself. That's what we have to embrace in this city. But I will also say that as a mayor, when I am looking to be the courageous leader that confronts the bureaucracy, that confronts developers, that confronts ICE and the NYPD, what I need is partnership in city council. It takes all of us to get that kind of change done. And that's why I'm endorsing Amit Bagga, because he is going to be a partner in that courage, in that courageous change making. And so you're going to win. He's going to win.
A few days later, on June 16th, less than a week until the primary, Jonathan Bailey posted an editorial on the self-publishing website Medium. In the post, he talked about, quote, identifying the differences between leftists and liberal opportunists. While voters in our district struggle to tell us apart, he wrote, many NYC workers know that Amit Bagga has been accused of faltering in holding the mayor and other elected officials accountable, mistreating his workers, and failing to sign on to calls to transform community safety and cut the NYPD budget until it was politically viable. He hyperlinked that accusation to a letter dated February 25th from an anonymous email address, nycworkers1@gmail.com, that had been quietly floating around in the campaign circles. The authors of the email said, quote, after the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, over 700 current and former City Hall, Mayor's Office, and city agency staff took a risk by writing an open letter to the mayor calling on him to cut the budget of the NYPD. Amit did not sign the letter. A second, more moderate letter was written specifically for senior staff, including many deputy commissioners, addressed to the mayor. Amit did not sign this letter either. Nearly 1,000 staff, including several deputy commissioners, chief of staff, and other senior de Blasio aides who had everything to lose, rallied at City Hall and marched over the Brooklyn Bridge. Amit did not join. They wrote, it is ironic that Amit is using the Census 2020 campaign to bolster his run for city council, while continuing to disparage the hardworking New Yorkers who had the unfortunate experience of serving as his staff. Amit would often isolate members of staff he did not like by purposely not including them in necessary meetings and emails, being unresponsive to their communication, changing their scopes of work without notice, removing them from all projects, instructing other members of staff to not communicate with them, among other types of abusive behaviors. The digital outlet, the Queen's Post, reported that Bailey shared the anonymous email. The outlet said several former staffers of Bagga's have since reached out to the Queen's Post to say that they admired him as a boss and that he supported them professionally and personally. They said they never personally witnessed or experienced his alleged behavior outlined in the email. They said he chose not to sign his name on the de Blasio letter out of fear that the census effort would suffer. They noted that he didn't want to create issues with City Hall since the census effort was difficult enough due to the pandemic and President Donald Trump's interference with the count. A few days before primary election day, I caught up with Ebony Young one more time. She was holding a Juneteenth event by the Woodside houses.
I'm going to say my mom's running for city council, and her name's Ebony Young. I'm going to give them a flyer and tell them where it is.
How about this?
Happy Juneteenth.
How about this? How about you lead with Happy Juneteenth? We're so excited. We're having a gathering over here to talk more about Juneteenth. You want to learn more? Go over, get you a free plate, and then you can learn more about Ebony Young, who's running for city council.
How do you feel right now, like this stage of the game?
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but I think what keeps me going and motivated are the people. To stay positive and to just love people. And I think, my energy comes from people, and so that's what keeps me going.
So what does that mean, people? What do you mean?
I just enjoy being around people. I enjoy listening to them. I enjoy hearing some of their issues and problems and trying to figure out how I can help resolve or connect them to people, places, or things that will help make them better people. That's what that means. Isn't that great?
Hang on, Shannon. I didn't say yes yet.
Bagga's campaign initially turned down my request to get an on-camera comment about the anonymous letter. But I kept trying, and eventually his campaign manager said I could talk to Bagga, but not until Election Day. Then I spotted Bagga at the Court Square Civic Association block party. But he wouldn't talk to me about the anonymous letter offhand. I talked him into letting me trail him around the block party, and he ran into Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, whose congressional district included Long Island City.
I have an entire labor table.
Oh my God! We got the big one.
Yes, all the big ones. And 11.99, BJ, PC 37.
She clearly hadn't endorsed anyone in the race. On election day, I made a point to catch up with both Amit Bagga and Jonathan Bailey to sort out the drama.
Everybody knew. It was to the point where, like, I would meet people I didn't know, and they would be like, "Hey, do you know this about Amit?" And it's like, okay, everybody knows.
You know that these people are real people, that the letter didn't just come from like one person?
I mean, like, maybe it's like a total racket, and I was like sent something that like was a complete lie, but like, I mean, then wouldn't you say that it's a complete lie?
Frankly, the letter is just simply a distraction. This campaign has been laser focused on articulating a positive, specific, and very progressive vision of what our recovery is going to look like. And that's a recovery not to the past, but rather a way of forging forward.
So, like, you know, this stuff about isolating members of the staff, not inviting them to meetings, and, you know, people feeling traumatized. Like, this isn't stuff that really happens.
The letter is a distraction, like I've said. It's nothing but a distraction to distract from the message of this campaign.
Well, maybe it's a distraction, but do you think that there might be any truth to it, that someone felt something, someone who worked under you?
Not that I'm aware of, and like I said, it's a distraction to the campaign.
When all of these other, like, you know, workers, like, for the city were, like, signing onto the letter, you know, to push for police accountability, to push to move towards new systems of community safety and away from policing as, like, the only form, right? When other people were doing it, you want? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's me. When others were, hey, do you want one of the cards? When other people were doing it, you know, he wasn't.
That's absolutely not true. I actually was the one who made sure that all of my staff could keep their jobs as a result of signing that letter. It was not at all a matter of taking any period of time whatsoever. We had a very, very, very specific and existential job to do, which was to make sure that every single New Yorker, especially the very same communities that are over-policed and have suffered from police brutality, Black, brown, and immigrant New Yorkers, were counted in the census. It was my job to ensure that that task was not in any way, shape, or form jeopardized. And for the very same folks who are members of my team, I stuck my neck out on the line to save their jobs, to ensure that they could continue to do that task, continue to stand out, call out the mayor, sign the letter, march, protest, and I was the one who actually protected them.
Amit's probably gonna win. Like, he's probably gonna win, right? And when he wins, some people might go and work for him, for his office, for like something within the election today, like something within his control, right? You know, but like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, you know, if Amit wins and we all lose, I'm just going back to the warehouse.
Later on, after the election, one of the government workers who had worked for Bagga and who had signed the anonymous letter talked to me on the phone anonymously. He said he didn't want to sabotage Bagga and that Bagga could be charming, but that he was a toxic leader. The source told me Bagga didn't sign the letter to the mayor because he wanted the mayor's help in getting union support, and that the census campaign, in his view, was never threatened by that letter to the mayor. The source was part of the Queens chapter of the Working Families Party. When he joined on to the endorsement call meeting, a few people there spoke out about working for Bagga. They decided to write the anonymous letter to the Working Families Party and to endorse Julie 1.
They told me to come with the power wash machine.
It's gonna rain.
Doesn't matter, right?
Will you remember to rank me number 1? So it's 8th line, 1st row.
I just asked you about Sunnyside Yards. I've never seen like someone in the neighborhood just bring it up.
I haven't really heard about it either. And you know what really surprised me was that people only talk about Amazon. I was like, we should be talking about this. Like there's an actual project that's still out in the feasibility process, but people are still hung up on Amazon from 3 years ago, even though it's over. Hello, are you going in to vote today? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. He was like, "Are you for or against Sunnyside?"
Yeah, I told him that we can't do it. It's underwritten. It's not feasible. Yeah, and he was like, "Okay." Yeah.
So, if you win, you'll help out Emily on that, so to speak.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll be working with her. I'm a big fan of Emily. I got a lavender plant for her. I was getting takeout when I saw Julie One's Instagram story about her election watch party in the Court Square area. I went straight there with no camera, only my phone. By 11 p.m., Amit Bagga was ahead of Julie One by 0.5%, or 30 votes.
Hey everybody. So, I'm sure some of you know by now, but this race is neck and neck heading into the first round. Yeah! 10,000 votes, and we're down by 20 votes only. During this campaign, you all have knocked over 65,000 doors. That is ridiculous, yes, so no. More than any city council campaign I've seen, and I've checked with some of my friends, more than any city council campaign in this city right now.
Julie One's spouse and campaign manager Eugene No would later explain to me that all the candidates had access to a database app that tracked how many doors each campaign knocked on.
Julie One, please.
The outcome of this campaign results will not define us. We will win. I promise you that. But what defines us is how we treated each other with love and kindness and care. We're ahead. We came to this race funded by people of color, by people who are unemployed, people who are retired, people who are marginalized, to say that I want to have a voice. We got into this race to take ownership and responsibility for those who could not speak up, those who were too scared to say, I deserve benefits, I deserve unemployment benefits, I deserve to have an education, and that's why we're here together, and that's how we form this family. We have been a family for the last 10 months, and I cannot thank you enough because this is only the beginning of our journey. Like Eugene said, because of your help through volunteers, we collected 1,000 more signatures than any of our opponents. And got on the Democratic ballot, and with your help, we knocked 50,000 doors. That is more than 3 times of any of our opponents, and got our votes.
I believe.
I believe that.
I believe that.
I believe that we.
I believe that we.
I believe that we will.
I believe that we will.
I believe that we will win.
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 I believe
None of the candidates achieved more than 50% of the vote. On election night, one was ahead of Bagga by 0.8%, or 125 votes. A week later, one invited me to film at the Queen's Board of Elections, where she and her team were counting absentee ballots.
Good job.
So you've been counting ballots all day?
Yes. We've been counting ballots since Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. every single day.
Since Tuesday, that's like 4 days of counting ballots?
Yeah, we probably have like 4 days more to go. So every single day we gain more number 1 votes, as well as seeing a lot of number 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Are you and Amit like on a lot of the same voters lists, top 5?
According to our voter results right now, with absentee ballots, no.
You're on different lists?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think you reach different people?
Yeah. We probably had a different targeted universe. Our voters are mostly like young people, immigrants, working class folks.
Candidates were eliminated one by one in this order: Sultan Maruf, Lorenzo Brea, Stephen Raga, Jesse Laymon, Emily Sharpe, Glennis Gomez, Jonathan Bailey, Hailie Kim, Badrun Kahn, Denise Keehan-Smith, Ebony Young, Julia Forman, Brent O'Leary. By round 15, with only one in Bagga remaining, one defeated Bagga 56.7 to 43.3, or in total numbers, 6,822 votes to 5,211. One and Linda Lee in District 23 in Eastern Queens shared the honor of being the first people who identify as Korean American to be elected to the New York City Council. South Asians, including a Muslim woman, won elsewhere. There were more Asians and Latinos elected than ever onto the council. The first out gay black woman was elected. Some Democratic Socialists, including Tiffany Caban in Astoria, were elected. The council wound up being the most diverse and progressive ever, with the first ever female majority. But no district is the same. Looking at a district map, Brent O'Leary did well in Hunters Point, including at his home, City Lights. Lorenzo Brea won half of the Ravenswood houses where he lives. But Ebony Young essentially won the election districts of Queensbridge houses, Woodside houses, and some of the Ravenswood houses. Later on, I'd see different sources attribute one's victory to the growing Asian population in LIC and to her strategic ground game. But on election day, I was just thinking about one thing, and it was the last thing I asked her about.
You said in your speech last week that the campaign was one that was built on love and respect and stuff.
Yeah. We made it a point for us to build camaraderie. You saw it. You came with us. Every time we had some sort of campaign event, we made sure that we ended it by celebrating and thanking people with food, with drinks, making sure that we were socializing each other, that these volunteers are not just workers or just doing hours for us, but really are part of our family and our friends, and they know that they can count on me the same way I can count on them.